So now it's finally time to fix our navigation. So in the header, what we have so far, we have hard-coded links, but downside of this is we are also using another variable, another hard-coded links for the footer. And sometimes it's confusing because we want to change the same link. For example, we want to change products link, and you can clearly see this issue already now. For example, if I look to the header, so this one has correct products link, but this one doesn't have it, right? So, and if I go also to the website, what I can see, let me use the final product, like this is a final preview again. So if I go to products, so I can see products here, right? So, but I can also click here and it should, like, let me switch. It should also work, right? It should also change the website. But more importantly, we want to also have some interactive elements. So if I'm switching to services, I want this services be active. If I am switching to the home, I want this to home part to be active, and then etc. Like all links which is actually clicked should be active for the header part. For footer part, it's not that important, but we want to at least have these links working, right? So, and this is what we will do in this step. So I will navigate back to cursor, but you can find all the links as well as source code for members of the CoderVlogger in the description. And let's start. So to achieve this effect, what we will do, we will extract all these navigation links into the same file. And this is quite known practice. We can use this approach for many other things, such as website's title, website's logo. So this is usually reused in different places. So we can get these elements, get these variables, get this information from the single place. And in our case, it will be config. So what we will do in the app directory, we will add another folder. Name will be config. You can call it configuration, update, like whatever is, like usually it's configuration, config. And in this one, we will have a file which is navigation.ts. So this one is a TypeScript file, but in this one, we don't have UI. So we don't expect to render anything from this. We expect to use this file to get some information and use it in the UI components. And now what we can do, let's take step-by-step approach to this refactoring, because our final goal will be a bit different from what we have here. For now, I will copy paste this existing one. So let's take this header and remove this from here. So our first goal is, like, just to be very clear, let's refactor and use single source. And later on, we will also add how we can make sure that this is actually selected. So this is something we will add as a next step. For now, we are refactoring. So we should already see this navigation. What was a variable name? Navigation. So let me search for this navigation. Yeah, and what we need to do, we will need to export this so we can actually use this. So to use this variable from another file, we will need to export this. And here we will need to import this. And for this, we can ask, so this is a relatively easy step. But if you want to be fancy, you can ask also AI to do this for you. Yeah, but you can see AI will be leading you into a bit different direction. It suggests that you add this in the file, but I don't want to do this. I want to import this file. And this time we are importing only this variable, right? So let's do this, remove our search. And so this complaint should go away. And let's do the same for the footer area. We'll remove this and add import. One thing which I am not sure exactly if we had the exact same thing. I assume we had, like, yeah, I think like they were using exact same variable, so that's why it will just work even if we extracted it. And now what we can do, we can go to navigation and say fix actually these links, right? So this is another improvement that we will do here. So you can see that we have products here and products here, right? So this is one thing we can do. We can say this is actually a same thing, so you can reuse it in two places. And for this, what I will do, I will before I change any code base, any code, let me just explain. So what I'm trying to do, if products is used in two places, like this is link, maybe we can replace it with something different. Like we can reuse it from another variable. And then from Next.js perspective, this is actually different routes. So if I'm clicking a link, I'm changing the website usually. So this is another route, another link, right? So what I'm planning to have, I want to introduce a new variable, which is routes. And so Cursor AI already suggesting some options, but I want to use a bit different approach. So for each road, we can also have type for this, but for each road, I want to have the same exact structure here, right? So name and the href or link itself. So we can name it as product. This part is okay, but value will be, yeah. So now it's suggesting something correct. So name will be products and then href. And so this is the beauty of this AIs. So based on one example, it will generate for us more examples. So I will just click tab and use the whole thing. And ideally, it should also suggest some usages. Yeah, it should also suggest some edits. First of all, we can also have home here. Perfect. It even suggested this part. And now this is something. In a final product, I did this a bit differently. So I immediately also removed this current part. But for now, I will try to keep this part. And you can see this is already looking like this suggestion here is already looking a bit ugly because it's trying to refer only part of it. It's not changing the whole. So maybe let me think a bit. So maybe what we can do. What if I don't have this value at all? So if I say routes.com, I prefer doing this, even though this probably will cause some issues in the header, which we will solve, because header is looking to this current for a selection, which is not the right approach. We will use a bit different approach. But for now, I will just also implicitly change this part. I will remove this current part. This current value. So we had home, products, services, pricing in the header. So let's add all of this: services, pricing, and it suggests to also change the rest of it. So for now, I want to just save and see what we have so far. If I go to header, I expect to have few issues. So this is exact issues that I was talking about. So instead of this, I want to have something different. I want to look. So let me just explain. I want to look at the page. So I can use again this final website as an example. So when I switch, I know that I am here. So I can get this from the URL. So what I want to do, whenever we have a new page, I want to check what is the actual URL of this page, and then check what is the selected URL, and if they match, highlight this, right? So, and for this, React has navigation. React has some libraries to use. So what I will do, I will import, if I remember correctly, usePathname. Yeah. So this is something we can use. So this will give you current path name, and then I will use a cursor AI for completions. So every time we have this header element, we will have this path name here. Why did it duplicate? Yeah. And then what we can do, we can say here that, so what was it? Area current. Yeah, so exactly this. So if path name is this, then we have this page here. If not, it's something, it's undefined. And then we can do also this here. So this href is always the link, right? So then this path name will provide this link to us. And let's see where else we use this. Yeah, and I think this is for mobile view. We can do exact same here. So again, Cursor AI did part of the job for us. So it replaced all the required parts. And now I can see in this file we don't have any issues. So let me go back and yeah. So this is another thing I think we did this already once. So we need to mark this component as a client-side component. And I have a link for this where you can read more about. So by default, Next.js will assume this is a server component, and it will try to build and generate it at the build time. There is more to read about this on the server side. Like, it's not a client side generated. And then the thing is, when this happens, you don't have access to some elements that you would have in the client side components. And then one of them is usePath, another is state. So there is so for client components you will have. So if you want to use these elements, you will need to make sure that you are using it from the client components, and you can read more about this in the provided links. And for us, we don't do anything server side specific in this file. And the examples of server-side specific would be accessing to the database, doing something which is required to run on the servers. You don't want to run this on the client's browser. So now I think, let me double check. I see a few other red lines. No, actually they are gone, right? So if I go back to our local, so now this is localhost. So this is just to make a difference. So this is a preview, and this is what we are actually running on our computer. And if I click products, wow, so now we have this working, right? So pricing, yeah, obviously we don't have some pages for now. We will add them later. But for home and product, this is already working. And we can see result. If I go to about isn't working because we didn't change footer links yet. So let's also fix this part. So if I go to, again, navigation, which is in this config.ts, config, and under this navigation.ts, so we need to also change this part. So now header and footer links, they use the same structure, which is you need to have name, which can be title in our case, because we show this, but it doesn't matter. And then you need to have #ref or link. So let's now change all this stuff, and maybe it's time to align it with our preview. So in our preview, in the local version, we have offerings component legal. In the preview, we have solutions component legal. So I want to use this approach, which we can. So this is another beauty of it. We can change this here. It's already called offerings, so we need to focus it here. Solutions. So let's call this solutions. And in solutions, we have product, services, pricing. We don't have pricing page. We will add it later. So products, services, pricing. API we don't need, we will remove it. Then we have company, in which we have about, and then contact, about, contact. And then in legal we have privacy policy and terms of service. Privacy. So I want to check what I was using before. It doesn't matter actually. Privacy and terms, right? Yeah, terms. I think we have some unused ones here, so we can remove them. Privacy, did I remove privacy? Okay, so we can do it well. So we can remove this, blog, remove, carriers, remove. Contact we can move. So it doesn't need to be in this exact order. It's just like I like when it's aligned on all parts. So now we have home, product, services, pricing, about, contact, privacy, terms. And yeah, so this is what I was expecting. So our footer is not smart enough to understand this change. So ideally, we can also make sure that whenever we change this structure, footer is just adapting to it. We can see this is not the case, and this is something we can do in a follow-up, and then we can use actual AI for this. We can ask AI to do this. So, like ideally, what we want to change this structure and then adjust footer automatically. For example, we can say, we will provide these titles to you. You can just use it as it is defined in the navigation. But for now, I don't want to do this. I want to just complete this step for now. So this is what we did. We renamed this to solutions. So let's do this solutions. Company, and then the rest is the same. So if I go back to our local host, so now we have this working, and if I click about, so about is finally working. Products, so this is selected, home is selected. So this was our final goal for this tutorial. In the next one, we will continue refactoring this navigation a little bit, so we can also define this footer a bit more dynamically. And as usual, you can find all these references in the attached link. You can also find, if you're a member of the CoderVlogger, you can also find all the source code with the links to the pull request, to the actual changes, where you can see each step, and then source code for this tutorial. And then the next one, we will continue making this dynamic menu, as well as some theme or light and dark mode selection.